I'm Disco, and this is my first video. And for my first video, I guess I'll talk about how being a teenager in 2026 low-key sucks. Aww. And for this and any other video where I'm yapping about something like this, I'll try to give like 10 points in at least 10 minutes or more. For my first point, I'll be talking about how everything is really expensive. One of my biggest problems with being 16 in this day and age is that everything is expensive in comparison to how it used to cost. An example of this is how before the most you would pay for a good AAA game would be $60, and now it's like $70. An example of this would be the Zelda franchise with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Breath of the Wild was originally $59.99, then it got bumped up to $70. Like, what are we doing? And food too. Like, when I DoorDash some stuff, it'll be like $30, and this is just like food for me. Like McDonald's, for example. I can order a quarter pounder meal, and it'd be $30 by the time I'm finished ordering on DoorDash. How? I don't know. And at least I like to try to save my money for certain stuff. Another thing, adults would be like, just save your money or whatever, but it's hard to do that when you want to enjoy your teenage years, like go out and stuff. Like, we have to pay for the bus or Ubers when our parents don't really want to drive us. For my second topic, I'll be talking about jobs. Now, if you've grown up in a household like mine, you've probably heard the saying, you need a job. But when you do, you fill out a bunch of applications and hear nothing. Like, literally radio silence from the jobs that you've applied to. And some jobs want prior experience even though you're applying for your first job. And other jobs get like hundreds of applicants because many people are in the same boat you're in. And if you get hired, your hours might get cut, or your schedule might change every week. This can be extremely frustrating because you're trying to be independent, but it looks like the world just won't let you, and your parents think you're just lazy, but the job market is low-key crap at the moment. Okay, on to my third topic, social media. Now, social media can be good, and social media is the reason why I'm on YouTube, but social media can also be horrible. And it's because of the addiction that comes with it. Because there was once a time you would barely check social media. Now you check it every day. And according to Google, the average teen spends about 5 hours on social media a day. Because there's always going to be another notification to suck you back in, or another video you have to watch. And plus, if you don't answer a person's DM fast enough, they suddenly think that you're ignoring them, and there's the pressure to look perfect online because that's how everyone else presents themselves. And when you notice that you're comparing yourself to the influencers a lot, you take a break, but that break really doesn't last long, and you end up doing it again and again and again. The vicious cycle always ends up looping. This always happens to me because, like, I really didn't used to be on TikTok. Like, 2020, 4 is when I, like, really got on the TikTok bandwagon. TikTok and Instagram bandwagon. And, yeah, I spend, like, most of my phone hours on either TikTok or YouTube. Alright, this topic is low-key a big topic because I can go on and on about this for hours. But AI, and I'm only going to talk about what AI has done to education. Now, on one hand, AI can simplify extremely difficult subjects and help you study, but on the other hand, teachers now suspect everything to be AI. And schools are changing and trying to adapt to it. And some teachers allow the use of AI, but on the other hand, some ban it completely. And this creates this weird environment where technology is being integrated into everyday life, but you also have to, like, defend your work for credibility that it isn't AI and it's actually you. Now, this hasn't happened to me, but it has happened to an acquaintance of mine. So, like, what had happened was his work got flagged for AI because of one part, and you can very clearly tell that it wasn't AI because it even had a typo in it, which, like, brings me to another point. This is not, like, a main point, but, like, AI is being used to detect AI, and sometimes AI messes up. And that's a big thing because it'll flag your work for plagiarism when your work is 100% authentically you, which utterly sucks, in my opinion. It feels as if teens are expected to do everything at once because we're supposed to get good grades, join clubs, play sports, work part-time jobs, and somehow figure out how to manage a social life. And please don't get me started on high school APs. But by the time the weekend comes around, you're already exhausted, and a lot of adults only believe it happens when you're working an actual adult job. But many teens experience mental burnout too. The pressure to always be productive makes you feel as if relaxing is a wasting time somehow. And I experience burnout a lot, and I'm speaking from personal experience when I say that when that pressure builds up, you'll eventually be less motivated for things you enjoy, and it'll be hard to get that spark back. So every once in a while, take a little break or something. Like, it could be 10 minutes, an hour, or maybe even a day. It doesn't matter as long as you maintain that spark, but you also have to maintain motivation to do other things. One would think that technology allows us to make friends easier, but actually sometimes it's the opposite. It's easier to make online friends and gain followers or whatever online, but finding someone you can actually trust is extremely hard, and technology makes conversation happen through screens rather than face to face, which sometimes makes friendships based upon streaks and liking each other's posts instead of just hanging out together and doing like regular teenager stuff, like going out to the arcade or whatever. That's actually what I originally thought being a teen would be like, going to the arcade and stuff with my friends and hanging out with them like every other week or whatever. But that's not how being a teenager is at all in this day and age. But back to the point, real friendships take a bunch more effort than you realize because you need to go out together. If you're actual friends, you need to talk to each other face to face. You need to like know each other, like actually know each other, not just from Roblox or Discord or whatever, because that's where a lot of friendships can take place. That's where a lot of friendships can start, I mean. But all in all, you like just playing the game together isn't enough, really. Because I know me and my friends, we play the game together, but we also sometimes make meetups, stage meetups. Like, now, teenagers already need a lot of sleep, but it's now harder than ever to get that required amount of sleep. Homework can keep you up late. Some people work after school, and others are in extracurriculars that run into the evening after school. And then once you actually get home and lay down, you're more than likely scrolling on TikTok, Instagram, or watching a YouTube video. And then before you know it, it's already midnight, and you know you have to get up for school in a few hours. And this creates the norm that running on a few hours of sleep is just okay, even though it affects your mood, focus, and energy every single day. Now, you see me, I have this problem because it'll be like 1 in the morning and I'm still up even though I have to work in the morning, because at the time of this recording, it's summer. I don't have school, but I have a job. So it's like a struggle to manage the job and my sleep schedule at the same time. Now, as teens, I feel like we need to figure out how to manage our schedule better in order to like better our sleep, because our sleep is directly tied to our mental health. One of the most frustrating things you can hear as a teen is the saying, your generation has it easy. Sure, we have the better technology and easier access to information, but this doesn't automatically make our lives easier. Every generation faces different challenges. Many of this generation's challenges are addressed in this video. So saying one generation has it easier without comparing the unique challenges that are faced by said generation completely ignores the challenges that we face, and instead of comparing generations, it's better to understand that each era comes with different difficulties. Because I hate when an old head says that our generation has it easier, but if we compare their generation to, like, say for instance, a caveman's generation, their generation was easier than a caveman's generation, correct? Granted, I'm comparing an era of where you had to fight for survival to a more like civilized era, but if we compare like the 80s to the 1900s, I'm pretty sure the people in the 1900s had it worse than the people in the 80s. Like, for instance, I just did a quick Google search. Life expectancy in the 1900s was around 47 years. By the 1980s, it had risen to over 73 years. That's a huge step. So people from the 1900s can say that people in the 80s had it better than them. I feel like as like humanity, we are constantly evolving and we're constantly facing new problems. Sure, those new problems might pale in comparison to the stuff that we have faced previously. It doesn't give you the right to exclude an entire generation's problems just because you feel like you've had it worse. Now, if you don't know what FOMO is, it's a fear of missing out, and nearly everyone experiences this. Say, for instance, you open your phone and you see people hanging out, going on vacations, going to concerts, or doing anything remotely exciting. Even if you're in a good mood before opening the app, after opening the app, you suddenly feel as if you're missing out on something. I particularly felt this when Summer Smash rolled around in my city, and all my friends went, and I was like agitated because I couldn't go. But to be real, social media really only shows the best moments and not the boring ones. But it is insanely easy to compare your daily life to someone's vacation highlights on Instagram, and that comparison is what makes you feel left out even when you really aren't being excluded. And on to my 10th and final point, I like to talk about the constant bad news that we get due to the fact that we have our phones all the time, and because of that, we're exposed to news constantly. Whether it's conflicts in a different part of the world, natural disasters, economic problems, or negative stories going viral, it can feel as if something bad is always happening. Like, at the time I'm writing this, there's a bunch of wildfires going on in Canada, and it's blowing very toxic smoke over into where I live, and the air stinks bad. But staying informed is very important in this day and age, even though seeing negative headlines every time you open your phone is overwhelming. And sometimes it can feel like there's no escape from the constant streamline of information that we get, and it makes the future seem more stressful than it actually is, even though there are also positive things that are happening that don't get the same attention. Alright, these were 10 reasons why it sucks to be a teenager in 2026. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a fantastic day. See you next week. Disco out.